Hey there, welcome back to the table. I got a gem of a game for you today. It's called Imperial Struggle. And yes, you may, for those of you who are familiar with the game, you may be aware that this is not a solitaire game. And no, I don't have a second player to play the game with. What I did was I came up with some generic solitaire rules. I don't think it's a competitive AI. Well, it's competitive, but it's probably beatable. But it's going to serve in a pinch. I'm going to do a little bit like Rado with, you know, how he does Jenny's turns. I'm going to try to do the same. The AI will basically be Britain. And yes, I will have to make some decisions for him, but I do have a little system in place where we're going to roll some dice, and then, you know, that'll dictate, you know, what gets done next. So if you're not familiar with my videos and you're here just for the playthrough, jump to video 2. That's when we will start the playthrough. This video will focus on setup and just a basic overview of the game. Also, I want to give some apologies. I know it's been at least 3 months since I've done a video, and I've been a busy bee. Largely been playing a lot of multiplayer gaming, and I really just haven't had a lot of time to do some solitaire maneuvers. However, winter's coming, and I live in the tundra, so I will be able to resume a lot of gaming. Plus, all my Kickstarters that I backed, they've been delayed because of COVID. It's a crazy, crazy world, I guess. And but we're all alive and we're all well, and I hope each of you are as well. So without further ado, let me introduce you to this game. And it is a gem of a game. I absolutely love this game. In fact, this is my 2020 Game of the Year. Skies Above the Reich was my 18 Game of the Year. I don't think it was 19. I think it was back in 18 that came out. But easily, that one was my Game of the Year. In 2017, it was, oh, just give me a second, that's right behind me here. How do I not have it on that shelf? It's it'll come to me, and when I remember it, I will tell you. 2017 was the it's a Pfister game. It's with cattle. Great Western Trail. That's it. Great Western Trail. Absolutely love that game. Skies Above the Reich was after that. I don't know if I did a 2019. 2019 was a bland year, but if I think about it, I'll probably come up with a few. But yes, this is my 2020 Game of the Year. Just absolutely love this game. I've played it not a lot of times, but at least a half dozen. And just really, really thrilled with it. Let me zoom out here and let you see this whole board. It's a magnificent board. It looks like there's a lot going on, but it's very, very well done. I honestly, the only gripe I have with the game is the player aid could have said more. The player aid has the sequence of the game perfect. But then when you get to the step where you're doing the sequences, I don't know what the deal is with wargamers, especially with their rule books, but they always put something in a rule book that they don't put in a player aid, and they somehow think it's cool that you remember that, or that you have to remember those things. And this game suffers from that. And otherwise, this would have been a perfect game. However, somebody did make an awesome, I think it's called, he called it a cheat sheet, and somebody complained and he renamed it. I don't remember what he renamed it, but it looks like this. It's in the files section on Board Game Geek. I highly recommend this particular one. It is fantastic. And it has all of those little itty bitty rules that the player aid left out. And to be quite honest, this could have all fit on the player aid that they provide with the game. There was no reason for them not to do it. But it's a great printout. Whoever did that, I thank him so much. But yeah, let's discuss the setup of the game. Setup is relatively simple. I'll go over some of the components real quick, and that'll help you with the setup. First of all, you have these double-sided flags. The board will have different shapes. They'll have squares, diamonds, circles. The shape does not matter. I mean, it will for the rules, but it doesn't matter for setup. Anything that has a solid red background is where a British flag goes. Anywhere that there's a solid blue background, you put a French flag. And for example, I'm cleaning up from a previous game we played, and I forgot to pick this up and this. And I think there was a space that I didn't, like up here, so I need to put a French flag there. And scanning real quick, these are Spanish ones, don't worry about those. If you want to play with the Spanish variant, which we are, so I will show you the Spanish variant rules, you put these 3 Spanish flags here, otherwise you just leave it be. It would just be blank, okay? The Spanish variant is not very difficult at all, and here is the extra spot. So let me grab another and put that there. I played as Britain the first time I ever played, and I just have a nasty habit of always putting the British flag there, even though I've played France since. I actually like Britain more, but France is a nice challenge, and I was also winning all the time. I just got beat by my son for the first time, and he beat me on turn 2, and that is an embarrassing defeat, by the way. He creamed me. And it's because I got a little too cute. And so when we talk about strategy of this game, I'll let you know some of my thoughts there. This game has a ton of strategy, and you got to walk this really fine, delicate line, and you have to be extremely tactical. If you're coming into this game with a formula, this is how I win every time, you're going to lose. The tactics of this is a big deal, and that's exactly how I lost that last time. Okay. So I talked about the flags, you set those up, then you're going to have these things that have a brown background. So it's going to have like the term power struggle. And then on the board it'll say power struggle. So you have to find those. The one thing that I can say to help is it'll list like the area that it affects. And it's usually the area that you get it from. And it does have an H, you know, so you got H here. But anyways, you just put those over top like so. Now, you could do it this way. It's just that when we play, we want to know what the ability is, so we always flip it over to the ability side up. We find that to be more useful. And so you can see there's a whole bunch of them in various places. That will probably be what takes you the longest in setup, is finding all those. Because when you're first playing this game, it is going to be confusing. So to help you with finding where these go, let's talk about the regions that are in this game. There's 4 regions. This region we're focused on right now, this is India, and this is called the Carnatic region, and the line for the Carnatic, see, I'm using a bad term, the whole region is India. This is the Carnatic zone. Yeah, that's maybe a better way to put it. This is the line that separates the zones. So this is the Carnatic zone down here, and this one up here, I never remember the name of it, but I know it's this spot right there, the Hooghly River. So that's the name of the upper area. Carnatic and then Hooghly River, okay? This over here is the West Indies. And so, and then, you know, parts of America as well, but it's, you know, just Florida and really the tobacco region of America, and the West Indies. Okay, there are no zones in this one. It's just one region, that's it. Now, over here is Europe, same deal, just one region, that's it. So up there is Europe, and then North America has 2 zones. There's the American, or is it the American? The colonial zone? It's real easy because the Canada zone is the other one. So I think it is the American or the whatever. But the other one is the Canada zone. And now, why is it important to know what the zones are? Sometimes you'll have event cards or stuff that only impact a very specific zone. Like this one here says Carnatic Coast. So you could place a conflict marker in a Carnatic Coast. Well, obviously, if you're playing this, you got it from the Carnatic Coast, so it's helping you to control this region. or this zone, but you can't use it up there. That's the big thing to just remember. And then from a setup perspective, I'm realizing I need to take this away. So I will do that. Okay, so, all right, if you get these out and you get those out, 90% of your setup is done time-wise. I mean, you still got some other fiddly things to do, but they won't take nearly as much time. When you punch your pieces, let's go through the pieces. The game actually comes with a nice tray. Is this a GMT game? Yep, it's a nice GMT tray. DVG has these trays too. I mean, a lot of them do. You're going to have these tokens that have 1, 2, 3, 4, right? The British fourth, stuff like that. They're called investment tokens. We don't even use them. They have a good intention, but you really don't need them. So just set them aside. If you want to use them, I'll show you how they get used. There's some tokens that are looking like this: Atlantic Dominance, Jacobite Victory, stuff like that. These are things that can happen in the game, or you could play the entire game and never encounter them once. Like, for example, I have these tokens out from our last game we played. The New World, how do you pronounce that? Huguenots? Huguenots? Doesn't matter. So these are situational. These are only for the end of the game when America declares independence. These you're going to use heavily. They're the exhaust tokens. You could tap cards. I guess that just violated a trademark, but anyways, they're exhaust tokens. Very handy. Make sure those are near you. The conflict tokens are used a lot. Make sure those are near you. And then this is a damaged fort token. Not used a lot, but they do get used. And then everything else you can see is nothing but those double-sided flags. There's a whole bunch of them. If you've ever played Twilight Struggle, you're going to understand that this game is... Well, and even if you haven't played Twilight Struggle, let me just explain. This game is basically a tug rope. You know, you're just pulling back and forth on this rope until one side crosses the line and loses. And so it's a big tug of war is the way this game can be described. Okay, let's keep going. Next thing, you're going to have cards, one for Britain, one set for Britain, one set for France. They're called ministry cards. And they're going to have these 3 little boxes on the left. They're real easy to identify if you get them confused. You're going to want them, just give them to the player. The player has all of them. They don't need to be shuffled. And in fact, for the beginning of the game, the ones that they want are the ones that have the white S. That's all that matters. The ones with the white S, it doesn't matter if the other letters are present. The white S is all that matters. And then these other ones, as you can see, they come out later. So let me give you some insight on what that means so you can understand. The game is played. We're going to talk about this more during the playthrough, so that's why I didn't want to get too deep in it. It's played through 6 peace turns and 4 wars. Okay, you can see that there's a white peace turns, then green, and then purple. This is called the Succession Wars. This is revolutionary, and I forget what that one's called. It begins with a E. It means something. See, it doesn't matter. The point is, you need to separate the greens from the purples. That's what matters. Those come out later, and I think Empire era. So this is the Succession era, the Empire era, and the Revolution. I think I got that right. And yes, there's 4 wars. So basically, you're going to play this peace turn, and then you're going to resolve this war, and then so the turn marker is going to go like this. Okay, and we'll get into that more with the thing. So let's get back to setup. You will have 1 initiative marker. France always starts the game with the initiative, so you give the initiative to France. Obviously, the other side is Britain. So give initiative to France. Getting back to the player setup, every player is going to have their own player mat, which again lost some opportunity because these are all the actions you get to take, but they had opportunity to explain some things better. It's okay. You're going to have markers that look like this. These are called basic war tiles, and just basically set them on the board. These are meant to be, randomized. You do need to shuffle them. Don't look at them. And you're going to be randomly picking from there all the time. We have, our little cups that we use because we find that shuffling on this little board can be really messy. And the ships, there's 8 of them. Britain starts with 6 on their player aid. 2 is going to be actually on the game board, and they go here in the Navy box. So 2 British, 1 French. And same goes with the French. When you come over to the French side, they're going to have their basic war tiles, and then of course they're going to have 1 more Navy here in the Navy box. Same deal, they have their own ministers, and we got to find the ones that have the S for secession. I think I already had those ones sorted, and just set the other ones aside. They come into the game later. Okay, for the solitaire mode, I need some dice. You don't have to be fancy like me. I'm using a D100 here. You can just use 2 6-sided dice, and this one is all you're looking for is even odd. So you really only need a D2 on this one, and then this is just determining what they do. I'll get into that later. And just understand, solitaire is not a game mode that comes with the game. This is just my meandering. Okay, I'm just trying to find a place to put my camera down. Give me a second. Next, this is the point track. So the way this game works, let me put all the markers off. First thing you need to see is right here, it says debt limit. And so you're going to have a French debt limit and an English debt limit. They're both going to start the game at 6. The current debt is going to be 0 for both French and British. Okay, they're just double-sided, say the same thing. You have treaty points for both French and British, so those are also at 0, and we just sort of set them off to the side like this. The victory point starts, and it even tells you, these are just the nice little touches I love about games. Every board game should have stuff like this, especially you war gamers. But anyways, victory points start right here. Just like I said, this is a giant tug of war. Even the victory points is a tug of war. The French win if they can get this victory point marker to move to 30. The British win if they can get it down to 0. So if the British score 2 victory points, they actually go down 2. And if the British and the French score 2, that goes up 2. It's a very simple concept, but when you hear score victory points, you don't think about reducing the number. But that's what happens in this situation. Okay, so moving on, we have these award markers. They look like this, and they say award marker right on them. So what we're going to do is we're going to randomize these, and there's 8 of them. And so what you do is you select 2 at a time. And I have it sufficiently randomized, so I'm going to grab 1 and 1. And you're looking for the award box in each region. So in India, I'm going to put 2 award markers down. And in Europe, the award has this +2 on it, which we'll explain later. And then in the Indies, and then in North America, way up at the top of the board, there's an award marker there. Okay, so sorry for the camera wobble. All right, now the resources, we'll say the global demand markers. We're gonna turn those over and give it a good shuffle. And, well, there's gonna be one of them, fish, spice, and let's grab this guy, furs. Oh, so this right here greatly dictates how your game changes every time you play. It's a little random. It's probably one of the few areas in this game that is random, and it can be really swingy. Like, it can be random against you or random in your favor. That game where I lost on turn 2, which you can see is very early in the game, those all went against me. But it was my fault. Okay, so we got the primary board is set up. The next thing we got to go over, there's still a couple more things. These tiles, which are called investment tiles. They have this purple background. See, like so. All right, so we're gonna put all these in a cup. And then you draw 9. And they have a spot right here on this board. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Doesn't matter the order, doesn't matter anything. So just flip them over. If you have OCD friends, make sure you put a few upside down so it really upsets them. That gives you an edge when you're playing this game. I would say just kidding, but it actually does give you an edge against those kind of people. But anyways, I will set them all right side up for you, my friends. Okay, so that's the investment tiles. Some of this is actually stuff that's done on the first turn, but we're gonna go ahead and do those here. Now, there's the event deck cards. They are these purple cards. You're gonna have 3 type. You're gonna have the Empire cards. See, I just confirmed it. There you go. Green is Empire. Set those aside. The Revolution ones, same deal. Set those aside. And then you have the Secession ones. Those are the only ones we start the game with. Shuffle those. And I'm shuffling. And I'm going to put them here in the draw pile. Your game is almost ready to start. There's one more thing we got to go over, which I've been avoiding. And let's talk about the bonus war tiles. Because you can see there's a basic war tile here, and then there's a bonus war tile. So let me go over those. In this cup are the bonus war tiles. As you can tell, those are things we have to randomly shuffle and draw. I'm going to go ahead and spill those out for you. The bonus war tiles look like this, and they have WAS. This is the War of Austrian Secession. That's what those ones are standing for. That's the War of Austrian Secession. So I have a tray here of all the tiles that come in the game. And you can see they got the 7 Years' War. This must be AWI. That must be the, I can't remember what well, here, I can just cheat. Let me look. AWI, American War of Independence. Yeah, why didn't I? WSS is the War of Spanish Succession. So you see, I got all these in a tray. So here's the deal. What they did, it was really cool of them to do. It was also very unnecessary from my perspective, but it was very cool still nonetheless. So the War of Austrian Succession. So you can see here, this gives me a +2 and it says Castries. Am I reading that correct? Yeah, Castries. Castries was some general that was in that war. Like, it's thematic. I mean, these are real people. Von Schwerin, you know, Nizam's favor. Like, these are all like real Bonnie Prince Charlie and de Coligny. Anyways, they're all things that during the War of Austrian Secession that actually, it's extremely thematic. Now, I happen to have one here. Let me look at a few others because I want to show you. So this is an interesting one. So for the +2s, you can see we have Castries, we have De la Bourdonnais, and the Bonnie Prince Charlie. And we actually have Murray. There's 4 of them, 4 +2s, okay? So now I'm gonna go ahead and grab one here from the WSS, the War of Spanish Succession, and you can see there's a +2 for de Estries. So what I'm getting at here is they're identical. The only thing that changes is the thematic flair, okay? This actually has a picture of Frederick, which was, you know, one of the big players, because these +3 ones are really big. Here you have a +2 with Musketeers. So this is the Spanish Succession, okay? So they had Musketeers that had a +2. Well, that +2, just, you see, they both give the same in-game benefit. It's just a different thematic thing. And if I went through it, the WSS stack, I'm going to find 4 plus 2 markers. I'm going to find 2 plus 3 markers because every single one of these thematically matches. Here's, for example, one of the plus 3s, you know, so they would match. Not thematically, game-wise. From a game rule perspective, you don't need these tiles. You just need one set. That's all you need to play the game. Now, if you're really into the theme and you want to change up the, you know, because you want to have like the generals and whatnot from that era, by all means, you can go through these stacks and set them all up, and then as you progress from one war to the next, you have to swap out your tokens. It's just a big pain in the butt, folks. I mean, if you're into the thematic thing, by all means, do it. There's nothing wrong. It's just what I do is I set them aside, and I recommend that you do the same once you get past the fact that these are all just plus 1s, 2s, and 3s with some special symbols on a few of them. Okay. So I know that was a long-winded explanation, but it's really your choice how you want to do it. But I'm only doing one, and I chose the Austrian succession. Not even the first war. It's like one of the ones in the second one, actually. Okay, so now you have everything you need to be able to play the game. There will be a player aid that you get. There's one for each player. It looks like so. It is interesting. I in fact found that this side is not even all that useful. The advantage tile guide, maybe the bonus strength guide is a little bit useful. But yeah, for the most part, you just need the sequence of play. And like I said, they missed an opportunity to make this a perfect game. Okay, so that's everything you need to set up the game. We'll go ahead and get into the playthrough, and I will see you on video 2.